My favorite memory would have to be the opening day of the training center. We worked really hard on it. We wanted a training center for so many years. And on September 2nd, we finally got to open what is the dream of Off the Cuff and one of my personal dreams. I've enjoyed every minute of the training center and every minute of before then. So yeah, that's my favorite memory.
I think one of my favorite memories of Off the Cuff would probably have to be before the first show, when we were in the back room of the grind and we went in a circle and with arms linked together and I think we prayed even. I can't remember for sure, but we just said let's go out there and have a good show. And I think we did the counting game as well. But just that feeling before we went out there, since we'd never really had our own show before, and then running out there and having all those people be there and just that initial high that you get from the audience. I think that's probably one of my fondest memories of the troupe.
My favorite moment of Off the Cuff, it was actually my first show that I ever came to Off the Cuff. They played the game Columns, and I was one of the audience members that was called up. And it was Wendy and Mary that were playing, and I remember almost pushing Wendy off the stage. It wasn't Columns, it was People Movers. But I remember almost pushing Wendy off the stage on accident. So
I remember playing a board game on Ian. Sleeping.
Yes. I remember we came and did the show, like we were driving home from our honeymoon and we didn't even go home, we came right to the show because we missed everybody so much.
No, I think it was maybe the first or second birthday show, but Tilt was on the side and I was Tilt for, I think it was Party Quirks, and I was Tilt, and so I go in there and I'm like, you know, getting obvious, and I'm like, hey, these are my 70s soul and ska vinyl albums. And he starts chuckling, and so I looked over at him and I was like, and then he started going like, and so I just kept miming him like, and like, he was laughing so hard, and that made me starting to laugh. I mean, it was just so funny to me.
My favorite memory of Off the Cuff was last year when we went to Turlock. Wendy on Benadryl, probably the funniest thing ever, and it makes the 8-hour drive so much better. And also just, it was such a great time because it was like my first real thing with Off the Cuff, and I loved it. And Kristen and I also fed the ducks on it.
It's actually, when I was playing, I can't remember what game it was. I think it was Paperback Ride. No, the paper game.
Pieces of Paper.
Pieces of Paper. We haven't played it in a while. But TJ's line was, "You like my milkshake," and he had to say it to me, and we didn't know what our relationship was at the point, and as soon as he said that, we both started laughing so hard that we couldn't finish the rest of the scene. And that happened to be one of my favorite parts, is when we would just be on stage, and we would make each other laugh, and we would just laugh the whole time, and the audience would just follow along.
We were playing scenes from a raccoon, and I was partnered with Tiffany Mills. Tiffany Mills at the time had a really huge personal bubble, and so this was my first time playing. It got frozen to the point where I had to, basically the position on stage was I had to mount Tiffany Mills on the ground, so that was awkward for everybody involved, and then the scene was read out loud. It was a live game of chess, and I just got off of Tiffany really fast, raised my arms up high triumphantly, and yelled out, "Pawn takes queen!" And that was actually the button for the entire show. The show ended after that.
One memory that I really enjoy is when I was first a core member of Off the Cuff, and it was my first touring show, and we went to St. George and performed at this Christmas party for some medical group or something, and we were playing hacky sack, and Nate you know, as per tradition, kicked the hacky sack up into the ceiling and we never got to get it back again. But it was so funny that it didn't really matter. And I don't know, I think what I enjoyed so much about that trip was that it was a weird little show and this weird group of people, but afterward they were all just like, wow, that was great. That really brightened my evening. And it was funny because at the time we were all like, well, they didn't like us very much. And, you know, that surprise of like, oh, we like brighten these people's days. It was pretty cool, and I think it's cool that we can do that on a constant basis.
When I first met Off the Cuff, Ian told me, because I just moved down, because we were from the same town, that there was tryouts. And so I came in and I tried out, and I made callbacks, and ultimately I didn't make it, but they were like, all of you that made callbacks are playing this Friday. So I'd known Off the Cuff like a week, and they were like, come play on our stage. So I thought it was funny. It's like, I don't know, I could be like this deviant pervert and just like totally just go crazy on stage. I always thought that was funny, but the first show I was really nervous, so until after we did Rant, I couldn't feel my hands. I was so nervous.
I remember we were on Main Street, me and Dave and TJ and Mindy, and we were on Main Street talking, and a bunch of them, I can't remember who, ran over to the grind and talked to Jonathan there, and it was like at the beginning, and they ran back to us on Main Street, and they're like, we can do it at the grind, we can do it with Jonathan, he's gonna let us do it. And at that moment we like freaked out, and I got all like butterflies in my tummy because I was really excited.
One of my favorite memories, even though it wasn't anything to do with the show, but one of those great off-the-cuff moments that we had, was when Dave and Mary had their first baby, Emma. We were all waiting in the waiting room to see her. We were all so excited. She was like all of our little baby, you know? It was like our first little cuff baby. And we all waited in the waiting room, and I remember, like, Dave coming out and being like, she just had her, it's a girl, she's beautiful. And we saw them bring her into, like, the little waiting area to get cleaned off. And she was just so red and beautiful. And it was such a great moment. So many of us were there, just waiting. We waited in the waiting room for like 3 or 4 hours. It was awesome.
It was a very small waiting room.
Yeah.
There was like all of us.
Yeah, like 6 off-the-cuff members, so it was pretty loud. It was a loud waiting room.
Yeah.
That was a really great moment, for sure, I think.
My favorite moment is not necessarily one moment, but is really when we have like a really energized audience. Like the opening of the theater, or like the birthday show or the Halloween show, and walking out on stage and just being like hit in the face with everybody's excitement. I love being punched in the face by excitement.